Throughout the construction, research and planning stages of my main product and ancillary text, I use a variety of different media technologies such as WordPress, Prezi, Photoshop, YouTube, Microsoft Excel, camera equipment, Final Cut and the internet in general. Firstly, a program which is run on the internet, which I use in every lesson and often at home in my own time, is WordPress. This is an online blog which helps me to manage my posts, control my time management and also get audience feedback regularly on my work. This is a diary-like software and is something which I use throughout the whole construction, research and planning part of my work. Another media technology which I used in the research, planning and also evaluation stages of my media products was Prezi. Prezi is more of a creative presentation website that is more creative and interactive than a normal presentation. On Prezi, I design my own layout and design from my initial ideas and several of my evaluation questions. A media technology which I used heavily in the construction, research and planning stages of my work was Photoshop. I use this throughout all stages, especially in the construction of my film poster and magazine. A tool in Photoshop which I used was called the magnetic lasso tool. I used this on my magazine to select part of the character's head, then place it over the masthead. The reason I did this was because it was conventional of my magazine to have the character over the masthead of the magazine. Another tool which I used a lot in Photoshop was the square marquee tool. I used this tool to create the title of my film, Hacked. Firstly, I wrote the title out, used the square marquee tool to select the top half, then copied it and pasted it into a new layer. Then I clicked Command and T and slightly moved it to one side. Another tool I used was the clone tool. I used this when creating severed hands. I cloned the part of the hands that I did not want with the background image so that it blurred in. I then used the pen tool to draw on the red wounds of the hands. I then adjusted the brightness and contrast and added a bevel and emboss to it. The way which I used Photoshop was to create the billing block and the captions for my trailer. I did this by opening a new Photoshop page, clicking on Film and Video and selecting the PAL D1/DV. This then allowed me to have the right size page which would fit onto Final Cut. I then typed out what I wanted it to say. I did the same for the captions. Moreover, another online website which I used in the research planning stages of my work was YouTube. I use YouTube to analyse existing slasher trailers during the planning part of my work. I also use YouTube to post my trailer progress and my final trailer product. Another way in which I use YouTube was for secondary research, where I found tutorials on how to use certain tools on Photoshop or Final Cut. I found that YouTube was very beneficial for me as it taught me new things. When it came to filming for my trailer, I used many different equipment such as camera lighting equipment. For example, I used DSLR cameras which I had to focus and change into appropriate settings that I needed. In the cameras there were SD cards which I had to log and transfer files from the SD card onto Final Cut to be able to use them. Downloading fonts onto my Mac was something I did through the construction of media products for my poster magazine and also my trailer, my captions and billing block. I did this by getting a font called Steelfish onto DaFont. I clicked download, opened it up, and then installed this. This then allowed me to use it on Photoshop, which is where I created my billing block and also the captions for my trailer, my poster and magazine. Finally, a media technology which I used heavily in the construction of my film trailer was called Final Cut Pro 7. This software allowed me to create my trailer, adding footage and audio together. Firstly, the Select tool is a tool I use which allowed me to rearrange my footage in order and linking up audio and footage together. I did this by selecting the tool and then clicking on what I wanted to move. Another tool in Final Cut I used a lot, which is very beneficial to me, was the Razor Blade tool. I used this tool to cut down clips I wanted shortening, or an audio Foley sound which I wanted only a little part of. I did this by selecting the tool, then clicking on at the correct time I wanted it cutting, and then deleting the unwanted part. Final Cut also allowed me to make my sound louder or quieter by double clicking on the clip once, and then in this window using the purple line to move up for louder or down for quieter. By clicking on the pen tool and marking it where I wanted it, I can make the noise fade out or lifting it up to make it louder. When it came to adding effects to my clips or caption, I used an effect called Bad TV. I double click this by clicking on the clip I wanted, selecting Effects, Stylize and then Bad TV. I did this on all my captions. Final Cut allowed me to add transitions in between my clips. I mainly used an additive dissolve or a fade in, fade out dissolve. I found all these transitions on Effects. When recording extra voiceovers and sound clips, I recorded them on my iPhone, on voice memos. I then sent them to myself on iCloud email, which I was then able to save them on my computer and drag them into Final Cut. During the construction of my film trailer, I recorded some additional Foley sounds, such as the axe being dragged across the floor. Not only this, but I recorded separate voice recordings for voiceovers. In Final Cut, I then had to match the audio with the footage by rearranging them and cutting them down to size. I also had to do this with added sound effects I used.